Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to do the unboxing and overview of the 2020 MacBook Air. And yes, this is the version that just came out this year, released by Apple. And there's a few reasons why I decided to get this version. So I think the main reason why anyone would get this version is because the keyboard changed, right? Because that was the main problem of the previous generation MacBook Air and MacBook Pros, was the butterfly keyboard, which I hated, right? So that's the main reason I'm getting this model, and it's going to be a lot better now because the keyboard problems hopefully will go away. That's actually the main reason why I'm getting this one as a strict upgrade over my 2016 MacBook Pro, because my 2016 MacBook Pro has the old butterfly keyboard. That was actually the first generation that they put the butterfly keyboard in those MacBook Pros. And by now, of course, just like a lot of other MacBook Pros from that time, it's been failing, right? So the keyboard, as people know, the previous generation MacBook Pros for the last 3 years, right, from 2016 to 2019, with the butterfly keyboards are prone to failure. So mine was no different. The keyboard started failing on me, and that's also easily one of the worst parts of that computer. I actually like a few things about the computer. I like that it's thin, it's light, has a really good display and really good speakers, but you know, the keyboard, right? So that's why when I saw that Apple actually came out with the MacBook Pro 16 last year and had the new Magic Keyboard on it, I was thinking, wow, okay, Apple's finally starting to get its act together. They're finally starting to acknowledge that the keyboard was, the butterfly keyboard was a mistake, right? Now they're finally going to fix it. I've been waiting for a very long time. A lot of people have been waiting a very long time for Apple to fix their keyboard. So finally, we have a fixed keyboard, new MacBook Air this year, okay? So another thing that people might be asking is, why don't you just wait out for the new ARM processors to come out in the next generation MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros? Well, personally, I think that Apple will be supporting their Intel-powered Macs for at least a few more years, because basically every application that has ever been written for Mac right now has been written for the x86 processor with the Intel, right? 14 years we're talking about, right? It's 2006 that Apple introduced the MacBook Pro. So, in the switch to Intel processors. So I don't think that any applications supporting OS X, at least running on the x86 Intel processors, will go away anytime soon, right? So people are worried about upgrading because of the new ARM processors coming out for Mac. Well, I would say you're still in good shape. If you pick up a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro this year, you're still in fairly good shape, because I'm pretty sure that developers are still going to be familiar with, you know, the architecture that they've been familiar with for the last 14 years. And they're going to keep supporting the x86 Intel powered Macs for quite some time, I think, because that's basically the entire user base of MacBooks right now. Now, when the PowerPC switched to Intel, at that time the user base for MacBooks, or PowerBooks at that time, and iBooks, wasn't as large as it is today. So today we have way more users of the MacBook Pro than back then with the PowerBooks and iBooks, right? So that's another reason I think that you know, developers won't just pass up a chance to make that money, right? Because the user base for Intel Macs is substantially larger than for the PowerPCs back then, right? There's way more people using MacBooks compared to back then. So it's another reason I don't think that just because the ARM processor Macs are going to come out, that it's just going to immediately make this obsolete, right? I don't think it's going to be like that. It's going to take some time, at least 5 years, I think, for you know, any reason to change from the Intel powered Macs. So let's go with this unboxing. All right, so as always, Apple with a very simple unboxing, and this is a space gray MacBook Air. The specs: it's 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD, Core i5 Ice Lake processor, does 1030 NG7. So it does come with the Iris Plus graphics, since it's the Ice Lake. This is almost a strict upgrade over my previous generation MacBook Pro 13, because this one actually has a better processor despite it being a lower clock speed. So this is a 10th generation Ice Lake processor, right? Core i5. Has a lower clock speed of 1.1 gigahertz, but can turbo boost a lot faster, up to 3.5 gigahertz. And the MacBook Pro 13 I had from 2016 had a Core i5 6360U, which is from the Skylake generation, so that's a 6th generation CPU. And that one's only dual core. This one is actually quad core. So the CPU is actually an upgrade. The amount of RAM and storage are the same, because, well, let's admit it, laptops really have not changed that much in RAM and storage since in the last 10 years. So compared to phones, right, we've seen phones go from like 1 gig of RAM all the way up to 8 gigs of RAM now, which is the same as laptops. But laptops really, in the last 10 years, have gone pretty much nowhere in terms of RAM and storage. Like 16 gigs, that was available back then, still available now, still the standard now. 256 gig SSD, that was pretty much the standard 10 years ago, still the standard now. So really, we have not seen that much change in terms of laptops when it comes to RAM and storage, but for CPUs, we definitely have seen a big improvement. So for sure, this MacBook Air from 2020 is more powerful than my MacBook Pro from 2016, right? So just so you guys know, some people might be thinking, oh, it's a downgrade because you're getting a MacBook Air and you had a MacBook Pro before. Well, this is pretty much more powerful than the MacBook Pro from a few years ago. The only thing that MacBook Pro would have that this doesn't have is the P3 color gamut. And that's really, if you're an artist or something like that, that's pretty useful, but that doesn't matter all too much to me since I'm mostly going to be using this Mac for programming and video editing and things like that. So the P3 color gamut, yeah, it's useful, but in every other way, this MacBook Air from 2020 is an upgrade over the 2016 MacBook Pro. All right, so what else comes in the box? Really not much because it's Apple, right? They don't give you all that much. So yeah, it comes with a USB-C cable and a power brick right here. Doesn't come with a manual here. There should be a manual here, but it doesn't come with it because I actually got an open box version. So originally, this MacBook Air with the Core i5 processor retails new for $1,100 US. But I got it open box, so I got a bit of a discount. I got it for $900. So this open box seems to be missing the manual, which is fine because I never really look at the manual for a MacBook anyways. I mean, it's a MacBook, right? We all know how to use one. All right, so that's pretty much it. Pretty bare bones. I mean, this is Apple, right? They don't really give you that many extras. So, all right, the MacBook Air 2020. Also, weight-wise, it's actually lighter than the MacBook Pro, right? So my MacBook Pro 13 was 3 pounds. This one is 2.8-ish, right? So slightly lighter, and also in space gray, just like my old MacBook Pro was. Also, the ports and everything exactly the same. So you get one 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on the right side and 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports on the left side. Exactly the same as my MacBook Pro 13. So no difference there. By the way, the reason I only had 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports on my MacBook Pro 13 is because I did not get the Touch Bar version. And that's another reason why I like the MacBook Air and not the current MacBook Pro, is because I don't like the Touch Bar. So let's open this baby up. And yep, it turns on automatically, which is a MacBook thing. But yeah, that's another reason why I went for the MacBook Air. All the MacBook Pros of the current generation come with a touch bar, which I really don't like. Because I use a MacBook Pro for my work, right, as my work laptop, and I don't like the touch bar, right? I always accidentally hit it. I really don't think it's really that useful. Like whenever I use applications and stuff like that, just in general use, it seems to be more of a hindrance than a blessing. I don't use the touch bar all that much, and I prefer to have a physical top row right here, right? And I like the MacBook Air because it has a physical top row. So this is
contains a built-in screen reader called VoiceOver.
Oh.
If you know how to use VoiceOver.
Okay, I don't care about that.
The VoiceOver quick start. VoiceOver speech description.
No VoiceOver. Okay. It's Mac OS. We all used it, and nothing changes here. It's the latest one. But yeah, as I was saying, I got the MacBook Air mainly because of the keyboard, right? And the lack of a touch bar on top is actually a reason for me to get this over the touch bar versions from the MacBook Pro. So that's another reason I got the Air. And also, yeah, my previous generation MacBook Pro 13 did not have a touch bar. I got the one with just the physical function rows on top. So that's why that version only had 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. Did not have the 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports because that one only came with the touch bar version. So even if I upgraded to the touch bar version, it wouldn't really give me that much, right? Like, first of all, I would get a touch bar, which I don't even want. And secondly, I get 2 more Thunderbolt 3 ports, which I don't really care for because what I really want is a SD card slot, a full-size HDMI, and a full-size USB 8. That's what I really wanted. But since you don't get that in any version of the MacBook Pro, then there's no reason to even upgrade that to the touch bar model. So I got the lower end version with the physical keys on top without the touch bar, which I actually liked. And now I pretty much get the same layout as well. The top row here, all physical function keys, which is exactly what I want, no touch bar. And I get something extra here, which is a Touch ID sensor as well. So this is actually something I did want to upgrade to, right? And I didn't have that on my 2016 MacBook Pro, and now I have it on the 2020 MacBook Air, so that's another reason why I upgraded. So yeah, basically I would say the MacBook Air 2020 is almost a strict upgrade over my previous 2016 MacBook Pro. I mean, it has a better processor, it's quad core instead of dual core. The speakers here looks like they're just as good as the ones on the MacBook Pro. The screen, same 13-inch screen, but it's not wide color gamut, so that's like the only thing that's missing. Maybe not like a huge deal compared to everything else, because the keyboard here is the real big upgrade, right? And Touch ID here as well, which is another big upgrade. Okay, so the keyboard. How is the keyboard? I think this is the main reason why most people will upgrade to this model. The keyboard is... yeah, it's really good. I mean, this is a traditional scissor switch mechanism that many people will like because it gives you more key travel. That's one of the main problems of the butterfly keyboard, is that it was too shallow. Didn't really feel good when you're typing on it. I like the fact that the one thing about the butterfly keyboard that I liked is that it was pretty accurate, but you know, didn't feel really good when you were typing on it. This one will keep the accuracy, or most of the accuracy, of the butterfly mechanism, and it'll give you better key travel, and it'll feel better, and of course I hope that it's going to be more reliable, right? That was the main problem with the butterfly keyboard, is that it wasn't reliable, kept failing a lot, and then you had to failed very easily, then you had to replace your entire computer when that happened. So that was really bad. So yeah, this keyboard feels pretty good in the hands. I would say that if you like the 2015 MacBook Pro or the MacBook Pros before, the old MacBook Air, it's basically same kind of keyboard, and you will like this keyboard because those keyboards were pretty good. The old MacBook keyboards, the inverted T, arrow keys right here, nice in the hand. Everything else is as you would imagine from the old MacBook Pros and MacBook Air. So nothing to complain about there. Everything seems pretty nice. Yeah, Touch ID, of course, works pretty well. And yeah, I like the keyboard. Of course, it's a return to form, right? And Apple should have better luck with the reliability on this one, since they've been making these keyboards for a long time. It's called the Magic Keyboard because they're already making them, right? So yeah, that's about it. Really, if you guys have used macOS, this macOS has nothing to show here. The main reason you would want to upgrade to this version of the MacBook Air is for the keyboard. And this is a great return to form for the old school scissor switch keyboard, which many people have loved on the old MacBook and MacBook Pros. It's back. So, you know, it's great that Apple actually took a step in the right direction. And even though they took a long time to actually admit their faults, at least they did, right? Which is more than what I can say for the removal of the headphone jack. I still think that was a mistake. At least Apple sort of went back, because the fact that Apple did at all is kind of surprising, right? Better late than never, I guess. So yeah, that's it. It's an upgrade all around for me, right? Because my old MacBook Pro didn't have Touch ID, had the butterfly switch keyboard, which inevitably failed. And this one is pretty much an upgrade in every way. It's got a quad-core processor. Display is almost as good, I would say. It doesn't have the P3 color gamut, but it has pretty much everything else, the True Tone and everything else. And MacBook screens, even without the P3, are still really good. And speakers, same ones. Touchpad, same big touchpad here. An upgrade to the new, or should I say old, Magic Keyboard, which is the main reason I keep the same ports. The weight is actually a little bit lighter. Footprint is exactly the same. It's a 13-incher. So yeah, really it's just a strict upgrade for me, I think. Alright, I thought it would just be interesting to compare the MacBook Air with some of my other 13-inch laptops. So believe it or not, this is actually the third 13-inch laptop I have in my collection right now. My daily driver right now is the HP Dragonfly Elite, which is also a 13-inch laptop. It is a little bit smaller than the MacBook Air, which is already pretty small. So you can see that lengthwise, slightly smaller, and it is lighter as well. So this weighs only 2.4 pounds, and the MacBook Air weighs 2.8. So that's part of the reason why this has become my main daily driver, is that it's so light and portable, and it's also convertible as well with the touchscreen. Right, so some people complain that the MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro, you know, Apple's MacBooks don't have a touchscreen display. The reason I think why they don't have a touchscreen display is because they would be competing with the iPad Pro, right? So Apple currently is positioning the iPad Pro as sort of a laptop replacement. And I use laptop replacement in quotes because it doesn't really run a desktop operating system, right? So iPad OS is not Mac OS, but I think it's marketed to people who want to have a touchscreen, right? So the iPad Pro, obviously with the touchscreen, and for people who want to draw with the Apple Pencil, then also the accessory as well. So they just released the Magic Keyboard accessory for the iPad Pro with the trackpad not that long ago, which means that they probably want the iPad Pro to be sort of that pseudo laptop replacement for people who want a small portable device with a touchscreen. And if the MacBook Pro and the MacBooks have a touchscreen, then it would kind of be competing with the iPad Pro. So I think that's why they didn't put any touchscreen on the MacBooks yet. But for Windows laptops, they've been putting touchscreens on Windows laptops for a while now. So I actually like it. A lot of people have been asking, like, why even put a touchscreen on a laptop? My MacBook doesn't need a touchscreen because, it's not that useful. Well, in some cases, I would say it can be useful. So especially I use a touchscreen, for example, when I'm navigating around the map and stuff like that on, like, say, Google Maps, another map application, or I'm zooming in on a photo or zooming out. Those things are actually much easier to do with the finger than with a mouse or with the trackpad, right? So in those instances, I do prefer having touchscreen. So it's not like you have to use a touchscreen all the time, right? It's an optional thing. I know some Mac users wonder why a touchscreen is necessary, why people complain about it so much. Well, it's because it can be quite useful in certain applications. It's not like no one's forcing you to use a touchscreen, right? You can still use your standard pointing devices, but having that touchscreen makes it a lot more useful for certain applications, like, say, zooming in on a photo or a map, or just moving around in some applications. It is actually easier than using the trackpad or a mouse. So just want to put that out. Also, I want to do a comparison with my previous 13-inch daily driver, which is the Porsche Design Book 1, which not a lot of people know about because it's kind of a rare laptop. But this is actually a convertible and a detachable. So first of all, the size of the Porsche Design Book 1 is actually a little bit bigger than the MacBook Air, because this is actually one of the heftier 13-inch laptops that I have. This is definitely the heaviest as well. So this weighs about 3.7 pounds. Yeah, so it's quite heavy, and it's also bulky as well. And that's probably why I switched to the Dragonfly Elite, right? It's a lot lighter and a lot more portable. But yeah, what's special about the Porsche Design is that it can actually be, so it's convertible, right? Just like the HP Dragonfly Elite, it's convertible and it's a touchscreen. But what's special about this one is that it's also detachable, just like it took this idea from the Microsoft Surface Book, actually. So what you can do is you just hold or press this button on the side here, you see that light up, and then now you can detach the tablet portion, display portion of the computer. So it's a hard detachable. So far, we've only ever seen the Surface Book do this. I don't think I've seen other laptops really take this into account. They usually have soft detachables, or they prefer just to have a convertible but not detachable, like the Dragonfly Elite with the Spectre X360. But this computer is pretty unique in that it's a hard convertible and detachable, which makes it even more unique than the Surface Book. So that's why I still keep it, I guess, just as kind of a unique, almost a limited edition PC in a sense, because not many people know about it. But yeah, I guess this is what would happen if you combine like an iPad Pro with a MacBook in a Windows laptop, I guess. So you have the ability to have that tablet portion, display portion when you need it, also running a full desktop operating system, obviously, and also convertible, touchscreen, everything. So yeah, that's probably what you would get, something like this, which is actually kind of cool. So yeah, the Porsche Design Book 1, my previous 13-inch daily driver, I think it's pretty unique, but I don't use it anymore because it's so bulky and hefty. Then the MacBook Air, again, probably going to use this mostly for macOS stuff, right? Maybe some video editing, programming, stuff like that. I'm probably still going to use my Dragonfly Elite as my daily driver because it's so light and so portable. So anyways, just wanted to do a quick comparison between those guys. So those are all my 13-inchers. As far as MacBooks are concerned, I think this is a great all-around one, right? I actually don't see much reason to upgrade to the Pro unless you're like really, just if you need that more power, right? For most people though, I think the Air is going to be good enough, right? It's just for the power users they would probably want to go for the Pro, but you get the stupid touch bar, which is something that you really can't negotiate on the Pro. But on the Air, right, you have access to this beautiful scissor switch mechanism without any touch bar or anything like that. It's currently the only MacBook where you can have access to the non-touch bar physical scissor switch keyboard. So yeah, what can I say? This is probably the best model for me, even though I'll be doing some kind of power work on it, but I think it should be okay, considering that the processor in this one is actually more powerful than my previous MacBook Pro. So I guess I can say that the MacBook Air has previous generation Pro internals in it anyways, so should be okay. Anyways guys, that's it. That's the MacBook Air 2020. Pretty much a strict upgrade for me, and probably the model that most people should get if you're thinking of getting a new MacBook. It's just generally the best all-arounder for anyone, and like I said, brand new, $1,100. And if you can find it open box or refurbished, then I think it's an even better value. And yeah, it's a MacBook, so what else can I say about it, right? People who are going to want to use Mac OS, this is probably their cheapest option, right? The MacBook Air. And especially for this year, I think this is actually a pretty good value. And if you're looking to upgrade from an older model or just looking for a new model, this is pretty much a good version to get. Don't worry about the ARM processor thing. I think it's going to take a while before any developers strictly focus on ARM processors and develop for that architecture, right? I think you'll be good. Yeah, so as always guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you love my videos, like them if you like them, and see you guys next time.